The Snow Queen. Once upon a time, there was a wicked sprite. Some said it was the devil himself, who delighted in twisting everything good into something ugly. One day he made a mirror with a terrible power. It reflected all that was beautiful as hideous, and all that was pure as grotesque. Now the world will see how foolish beauty truly is. Mountains looked like lumps of soot. Even flowers appeared as black, rotting weeds. Soon his students, other mischievous little sprites, carried the mirror through the skies to mock the angels themselves. But as they flew higher, the mirror began to tremble in their hands. "Hold it steady, fools!" It slipped, tumbled through the air, and shattered into countless pieces. Some shards were no larger than grains of sand and blew across the world. When a tiny splinter entered someone's eye, it changed how they saw the world. All beauty appeared ugly, and all kindness foolish. If a piece pierced a person's heart, it froze into ice, turning that heart cold and unfeeling. Now chaos will reign forever. But the world had other plans. In a small town, two children lived next door to each other. The boy's name was Kay, and the girl's was Gerda. They were not brother and sister, but they loved each other as if they were. Their families' houses stood so close that the gutters nearly touched. Each home had a little wooden box beneath the eaves, filled with soil for growing herbs and roses. The children had connected their boxes across the narrow alley, making a bridge of flowers between the two windows. Every summer they would sit among the roses, reading stories and watching the bees hum. But one winter, as the snow drifted like feathers through the air, something strange happened. Gerda and Kay sat by the window watching the snowflakes fall. Each snowflake looks like a little white bee. But bees live in hives. Where do snow bees live? In the Snow Queen's palace, high in the sky. She rules over them all. At that very moment, a sharp sliver from the wicked mirror flew on the wind and lodged in Kay's eye. Another splinter slipped straight into his heart. Gerda rushed to help him, but he pushed her away. "Stop fussing. You always cry about nothing." From that moment, everything changed. The roses no longer seemed beautiful to Kay, he called them ugly. When snow fell, he no longer saw its wonder, only cold and emptiness. That winter, he began to spend his days with older boys, mocking those who still believed in fairy tales. One cold evening, as he pulled his sled through the square, a large white sleigh stopped beside him. Its driver smiled at him, her eyes like frozen glass. "Would you like to ride with me?" Kay nodded, not afraid. He tied his little sled to the back of hers, and when she drove off, he was pulled faster and faster until the wind roared in his ears. Suddenly, the sleigh turned toward the sky. Kay cried out, but the driver caught him in her arms. Her kiss was colder than ice, yet it no longer hurt him, for his heart was already frozen. And together, they vanished into the northern sky. When spring came and the snow melted, Gerda waited for Kay, but he did not return. The townspeople whispered that he must have drowned in the river. Gerda wept bitterly, but she refused to believe he was gone. One morning she put on her shoes, said her little prayers, and climbed into a small boat to search for him. The river carried her gently through meadows and woods until she came to a cottage surrounded by thousands of flowers, tulips, daisies, and climbing roses covering the walls. An old woman stood in the doorway, her hat painted with pictures of flowers. She smiled kindly and helped Gerda from the boat. "You poor dear. Stay with me and be safe. You shall have the most beautiful garden in the world." Oh, it's like a dream. Gerda forgot her fears for a time. The garden was like an endless summer.
No snow, no storms.
But strangely, There were no roses. One day, as she sat on a bench, she noticed a rose painted on the woman's hat. The sight struck her like lightning. She searched the garden and finally found a rose growing behind a hedge. She kissed it and remembered everything: Kay, the roses they had tended, and her quest. Oh, how could I forget him? The roses whispered softly, "He is not dead. We saw him pass toward the north." Gerda thanked them and ran to her boat again. "Stay, child. You'll be lost to the cold." But Gerda's heart was too strong to be bewitched any longer. She sailed onward, chasing the cold wind. Her journey led her through forests and fields until she came to a grand palace of white stone. A crow sitting on the gate spoke to her. "Good day. Why do you wander alone, little girl?" "I am looking for my friend Kay. Have you seen him? Perhaps there is a young prince inside who looks just like your friend. Come, I will show you." That night, the crow led her into the palace through the kitchens and hallways until they came to a grand bedroom where the prince and princess slept. Gerda crept closer, her heart racing. "Kay!" But when the prince stirred and looked at her, she saw at once that it was not Kay. His eyes were kind and warm. Gerda wept, and the princess, waking, comforted her after hearing her story. The prince and princess gave Gerda warm clothes, a golden carriage, and food for the road. She thanked them and continued her journey, heading further north toward the land of ice. But Gerda's golden carriage shone so brightly that robbers in the dark forest saw it from afar. They sprang out from the trees, shouting and laughing. "Gold! Treasure!" Before Gerda could scream, the robbers seized her and dragged her to their den. Inside sat the bandit leader. "What have you brought me?" "A princess in rags." "Let me keep her," said a wild-looking girl. "She'll be my playmate." The robbers laughed and agreed. The girl, though fierce, was not cruel. She shared her food with Gerda and listened to her story about Kay and the Snow Queen. "I'm looking for my friend Kay. The Snow Queen took him." "Then you're foolish. But I like you." That night, while the robbers snored, the girl shook Gerda awake. "I'm not supposed to do this." "Come." She led her to the stable where pigeons fluttered and reindeer stamped their hooves. "This one knows the way north, to the Snow Queen's palace." She untied a great northern reindeer with warm brown eyes. "Go now. Don't forget me." The reindeer leapt through the snow, carrying Gerda toward the far north, where the stars burned cold and the aurora danced across the sky. For many days and nights, the reindeer ran across frozen lakes and snowy plains. They stopped only once to rest at the hut of an old Lapland woman, who gave them food and warmth. Gerda told her everything. The woman nodded and wrote a message on dried fish. "Take this to the Finland woman. She will know what to do." They traveled on until they reached a low hut built of ice and stones. Smoke rose from the roof. Inside, the Finland woman sat by her fire reading the message. "You are close to the Snow Queen's palace, but it lies farther than the sharpest wind can fly." "Can you give her magic to defeat the queen?" asked the reindeer. "No, but she already carries more strength than any spell, a pure heart, and love for another. That is the only way to melt the Snow Queen's power." She gave Gerda no more gifts, only a blessing. The reindeer carried her across the final miles of glittering snow until they could go no farther. "Now you must go alone." Gerda kissed him goodbye and walked into the blinding white, her hands clasped in prayer. The Snow Queen's palace was made of snowflakes arranged like glass. Each hall was vast and empty, silent as the moon. The northern lights streamed across the ceiling like burning ribbons. In the very center sat Kay, pale and still, on a frozen lake that shone like a mirror. The Snow Queen had told him that if he could form the word eternity from pieces of ice scattered on the floor, she would make him free and give him the world. Then she left him to his task. But the word would not come. He sat motionless, arranging shards in strange patterns. His lips were blue. His heart was cold. Then Gerda appeared, stumbling through the wind. She cried out and embraced him. Her warm tears fell on his chest, and one tear sank deep, melting the shard of mirror in his heart. He trembled. She kissed his eyes, and the icy splinter slid out like a grain of sand. Gerda, you came for me. The Snow Queen's palace echoed with the sound of love's triumph. The ice cracked, the frozen patterns broke apart, and the mirror-like lake melted into light. Hand in hand, the children walked out into the sunlight. The reindeer waited to take them home. They traveled through the same lands again, the Finland woman's hearth, the Lapland woman's fire, and finally the forests that bloomed once more with green. When they reached their town, they found everything just as it had been, the gutters, the rose boxes, the same windows. The roses were in bloom, whispering gently in the summer air. Kay and Gerda sat down together, holding hands. They were a little more grown now, though their hearts remained as pure and childlike as ever. The old church clock struck 12, and the bells rang bright and clear. The world was as it had always been, full of thorns and snow, yes, but also full of roses. And in that moment, they knew that true love, brave and innocent, could melt even the coldest heart.
Please like my videos and subscribe my channel for more interesting and learning videos.